Hey y'all, I'm back. It's been a while, and it's just been a crazy few weeks here. We've been on vacation, we had a death in our family, and then this week I've got two sick kiddos. So I am going to try to quickly do a Q&A video that I promised about probably 4 weeks ago. So I asked on Instagram and Facebook if there were any questions that you guys had about how we homeschool or anything about our family. And that is what I'm gonna do for you today. And I apologize for the wobbly camera. I'm holding it with my hand today. I'm sitting in my bedroom because I've got a sick kiddo resting near where I usually film, and my big kids are in the backyard and my youngest is napping. So we're just going to try to do this quickly while it's quiet. So I'm just going to jump in to these questions, and I hope that they will be helpful to some of you. So the first one says, how do you do it with the littlest one? So my youngest is almost a year and a half old. So he's all over the place all the time, and he gets into everything. But when we're doing our school day, I do one of two things. Some days I have my 4-year-old play with the baby while I'm doing school with the big girls, and that usually keeps him occupied for most of our school day. And sometimes I just hold him and let him color or, do whatever he needs to do sitting in my lap to not be a distraction to the big girls. There's a lot of people that have suggested to me to use like special toys that he only gets to have during school time, but that has never worked for any of my kids. They just lose interest too quickly, and so we just try to have somebody playing with him. So the next question says, how do you stay organized with not a lot of room? So in our old house, I did not have a room to dedicate to schooling or even any storage space, really. We had like a small linen closet in our living room hallway, and that's where we kept our school stuff. In this house, we do have a dining room that I had set up as a schoolroom, and we used our breakfast nook for dining. And then we had a baby, and so the breakfast nook was no longer big enough once he started sitting at the table with us. So now my dining room is a dining room. I have an actual dining room table in there instead of our little school table that we used to have. We had it set up with toys and school things only before. So now I've just got a buffet in there that I painted, and it has file drawers on each side. And so I keep all of our school stuff organized in those drawers, our curriculum. And then there's 4 other drawers. So each child has a drawer to put their school stuff in. And then in the middle of that, where the cabinet doors are, I've got our crayons and extra paper and things like that stored in there. And so we mostly school at our dining room table, but sometimes we don't. Sometimes we do school in the living room or outside, just wherever we see fit each day. Okay, so the next one says, how many days and hours a week do you do school? We school 5 days a week, and the amount of hours that we school really just depends on the day. Some days it's a couple of hours, some days it's longer. That just kind of depends on how much we have to get done, and also if we're doing history that day or if we're doing nature study that day, because I don't do those every day of the week. And so the days that I do those things, our schoolwork takes longer, but usually our independent studies don't take more than a couple of hours. Okay, so the next question says, what curriculum do you use? We use The Good and the Beautiful for my kindergartner for language arts, and she uses Math Lessons for Living Education by Master Books for her math. My second grader uses Master Books for language arts and math, so Language Lessons for Living Education and Math Lessons for Living Education. For history, we use Beautiful Feet Books. We are doing their first semester for our whole school year, so we're stretching that out. And then we'll do the second semester for next school year. And then, and that's the Beautiful Feet Books, Early American History. And then we use Exploring Nature with Children for our nature study. And then we're also part of Classical Conversations. We go to a community day on Tuesdays for that. And so for science, we just kind of expand on what we do there. And then it says, do you find that it's best to be home all morning or all day a few days a week? Or do you leave the house every day to run an errand, see friends, etc.? So for us, it is best to be home in the mornings. And up until this week, we've had several mornings a week that we are gone because we've got our CC Community Day on Tuesdays, and that's we have to be there at 8:15, and that goes until after lunchtime. And then two of my kids had speech every week up until this week. This will be our first week that we don't have it, and that was also in the morning time. But for us, it's better to get up in the morning and do our schoolwork first, and then we can go run errands and do what we need to do the rest of the day. So it's better if we're home in the mornings, but that doesn't always happen. But I wouldn't say we leave the house every day to run errands or anything. There's definitely some weeks where we leave every day, but not every week. It is really good for our family to get out and have play dates, and we do live in the middle of town now, so it's easy for us to run errands if we need to, but I still try not to do that unless we're just really getting antsy in the house, and if we just need to get out, then we will. But when we lived outside of town, it was a lot harder for us to do that daily. And also, I'm just trying to break that habit. Like, I am not a homebody. I like to be on the go. My husband is a homebody, and so I'm trying to find a happy balance of that and teach my kids that we can be content at home. But that's hard for me. So anyway, if you have any other questions that you want to know about how we do school or anything about our family, feel free to add those in the comments, and I will get back to you on those. And I will see you next week. Have a good week.